By signing with Dre, M acquired Dr. Dre's beef, and as a result, he became the prodigy of Dr. Dre. Dre left death row in that manner, and it should have caused him some trouble, but instead he got back on track with this white rapper who would go on to become the greatest rapper in the world. Kid has to be with us over on death row. EM was interrupted on his approach to his seat, and as I was staring at these guys in red shirts and M's face, I thought, what Eminem was saying during all of this was something like this: something ain't right. Attempting. I asked, hey man, they want you to sign with them instead of being with Dre, but all they seemed to be trying to do was kill us. I had no idea what they wanted. You don't hear too many stories about the feud between Suge Knight and Eminem. It's the story of the white dude fighting the boogeyman, who in the 1990s had some of the fiercest gangster rappers trembling in their boots. Suge was a member of the Mpio Bloods and a massive, 6'2" bearded man who weighed over 300 pounds. Needless to say, he was the guy who practically everyone was afraid of. To understand why that would frighten someone, and that's not all. Suge was an exceptional talent who played football and track at Linwood High School. By the time he graduated, nearly every major college football scout wanted him on their team. That's how outstanding this man was at the game. NFL football, as well as college football, just take a peek at all that hair. Suge Knight was living a completely different life, but even in this new existence, the streets continued to be a distraction for him. As a result, his coach advised him against signing with the University of Southern California because it is near Compton, where the hood is located. Suge signed with the University of Las Vegas because he thought that his business would be an issue. A year later, he signed with the LA Rams, but his coach and the team felt that Suge wasn't good enough. Suge was benched, and he didn't take this lightly. He decided to quit football, despite his family's pleas for him to stay. On the team, Suge's decision to go bald and give up his hair was predetermined. This was probably the moment when the gangster completely took control of Suge's actions. He went on to work as a bodyguard and concert promoter for about 2 years before starting his own music publishing company in 1989. And eventually Suge gained notoriety as a fixer when Mario Johnson, one of Suge's clients, encountered an issue with Vanilla Ice over royalties for the song Ice Ice Baby. Suge resolved the issue, and after that, he took me out onto the balcony and struck up a personal conversation with me there, situated about 15 stories above the ground. I was terrified that this would be the first instance of Suge acting as a fixer when rapper the DLC wanted to release brutal albums, and he went out to Suge to help him get out of the situation. Look over the edge and show me how high I was up there. Are you scared? I needed to wear a diaper that day. Used DLC to transact. When Suge met other NWA members, he learned that Dr. Dre also desired to quit the group. Suge once more resolved DLC's and Dr. Dre's issues, enabling them to walk away from their agreement and starting one of the most recognizable labels in hip-hop history. Records for Death Row began in 1999. One brother's or hometown's death can have a greater impact on Death Row than any other. When the finest musicians joined together at one point, it was like a comic strip blazing across the sky. Better for worse, gang banging and art is going to be the biggest record business in existence. The main plan was to take over the globe. Went pop, it seemed like everything we touched turned to gold, and the following year, Death Row will begin printing our own money. In case you missed it, Suge had skillfully transitioned from a bodyguard to a record executive, and in just 6 years, his label became the model that other record labels aspired to follow. No other label has been able to match Death Row's run of releasing 3 of the best hip-hop albums ever in recent years. December 1992 saw the release of The Chronic by Row, and November 1993 saw the release of another timeless song. When Snoop Dogg released Dogg Style, it debuted at the top of the Billboard 200, followed by Tupac. From prison in 1995 and went on to become one of the biggest performers of the 90s. Another timeless hit, All Eyes on Me, was released by Death Row Records. At this point, Suge Knight was among the most influential figures in the business, and there were practically no boundaries to what he could have accomplished. Nonetheless, you were able to remove the hood from the buddy, but not the other way around. When one of his employees made a mistake, Suge allegedly thrashed him before sitting on him in the restroom, demonstrating that he still hadn't given up on his violent methods. In another instance, in addition to having multiple legal issues and multiple jail sentences, he forced a fellow employee to drink the pee of every person in the room. He also liked to disparage other label executives whenever he got the chance. Finally, I would like to say that any artist who aspires to be an artist should do so. Death Row became known for violence after a while because the majority of the people Suge hired were either gang members or someone with a dubious past, and because of this, Death Row's fans didn't want to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the video or on the record dancing. Dr. Dre made the decision to leave Death Row. According to the official statement, he left due to a contract dispute, but other reports claimed that he left because he didn't like the way Death Row was now perceived and the number of people who were now associated with the label. Do I actually require Suge made sure that Dre only received his walk and paperwork when he left the company, leaving him without any of his publishing or masters? You are the sole owner of a multi-million-dollar company that may be worth $1 billion or more. You are not in a partnership, and you didn't have to offer him anything in exchange for anything. The record industry, which the general public is far less aware of, is, in my opinion, the worst one to work in, as anyone can start a record company with just any Joey-O off the block, which will inevitably attract more sly individuals and cutthroats. Moreover, Dr. Dre has no interest in working with the East Coast West. East Coast West Coast nonsense is just getting ridiculous, you know. It's just like another form of black-on-black crime. He didn't want to deal with Coast beef. Instead, he just wanted to make music and collaborate with even East Coast rappers. It was mostly just the way the studio was set up. Dre departed Death Row and began Aftermath Records. Fortunately for Dre, one of the first musicians he signed went on to become one of the 2000s most popular rappers. Eminem was signed by Dre to Aftermath on March 9, 1998. The label didn't get off to a great start, but once Eminem joined in, it truly took off, selling more records then. Suge wasn't happy with this because, as the Aftermath developed, Death Row was on the decline. Tupac had sadly been murdered, and Death Row never again reached the heights it had before. Suge felt that Eminem should be a part of Death Row Records, so at the 2001 Source Awards, Suge made the decision to let M feel his existence. According to Eminem's former bodyguard, Big Nas M.E.M., M performed with D12 at the show, many faces but to blue and yellow. The highest mountain, once or twice counts, but nothing compared to these blue and yellow. However, at this show, the artists were not allowed to sit with their bodyguards, leaving Eminem exposed. Discovered himself encircled by SH's goons during the show. As EM was making his way to his seat, I stood off to the side, and he got interrupted by a group of individuals wearing red shirts. As I was staring at these guys, I thought, there's a problem just. In case you're unaware, the red clothing represents the Bloods. Nas had to rush down to help the gang that Suge and his homies belonged to M before he was hurt. According to Big N, the men arrived bearing a message from Suge Knight, the subject of all these guys' conversations. Death Row. So by the time I got up to him, I was shoving the men away and said, "Yo, what the going on here, man?" He added, referring to Death Row. I was thinking, Death Row, what does this have to do with Death Row life? To do with him, he exclaimed, "Hey, man. Consider sending a message." I got him out of there and took him backstage, so now that I'm backstage, I'm contacting Dre's security. M.E.M. was caught in the center of the fight between Suge and Dre because he was Dre's prot G and had inherited his beef. I gave Dre a call, and we got a major problem. Man after M gave DMX an award, Big Nas was able to find him and get him out of the building. Death Row is here, and they are fighting and trying to do whatever they can. What was Eminem saying during all of this, like this? What they're trying to do, guy, is try to murder us. Follow their wishes. I don't know what their goals are. I responded, "Hey man, they want you to sign with them instead of with Dre, but the fact that he wanted M on death row only serves to further complicate this situation." What do you think of Suge's allegation that Eminem's music has no personal meaning for him? Do you think that Eminem is that? White rappers, I don't see anything about what the ghetto is like, so if you're actually from there and you're truly doing what you're rapping about, then I can respect that. However, if someone else is using your rhymes this wouldn't be the last time that Suge Knight attempted to intimidate Eminem. After a while, Eminem signed his own record label, 50 Cent, and became extremely successful, much like his mentor. However, during the filming of the 50 Cent video in the club, Suge Knight turned around, yes, and I was like, what happened? I remember the time. It's funny, though, because when he appeared during the club video shoot, he was like, SHT's outside, SHT outside everyone, and he was running and dropping. Man, everyone is saying, I'm in front of the camera like this, while Suge Knight wishes to. He felt that he usually makes an elegant entrance. This time, he showed up at the video shoot with more than 30 Mexicans. He stated, "This is weird, he's always with the Mexicans." I just remembered sniffing 50-50 and thinking, what's up, man? I know that Eminem was also at the video shoot. He came with the $50. You want to bang him? Yeah, bang him was what he said. Suge glanced at him, took a puffy cigar, and blew it out. They departed after that. Mexicans and M were outside him when they told him to back off, saying that he'd come outside with 50 Mexicans. Since then, Suge has been imprisoned for a number of crimes, while Eminem has grown to become not just one of the world's most popular rappers, but also one of the most successful musicians.